Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another Lunch and Learn with NEC. It's been a busy week. I'm sure you guys have heard the news and have heard about people getting canceled and all that stuff. So I didn't know if we wanted to start off with anyone having any questions about that. We have the Q&A. The chat is working. I have Dr. Teresa Thompson Pickney with me. Thank you, Teresa, for joining us this week. We're back and ready to answer any all questions regarding the proposal. I started the meeting a little early, but just sharing some of the things that we have on our website coming up. Please check out our free webinars, completely free. If you can't make it, sign up. You'll get the recording anyway. Hi, Deborah. How you doing? I hope you're doing better. I got to see her for a hot minute in Chicago, and we both had drama in Chicago, right? Trying to get back home. So I'm glad to see you got it back home safe and sound as we did. So check that out. Good. I'm glad you're feeling much better. Also, for those of you already attended our grant writing workshops, we're not going to have any more of them live until we get some information, if there's anything to be changed. Until then, I recommend that you guys revisit the recordings and either sign up for the proposal writing courses if you have not done that yet. Or also, if you have attended, make sure you get the link from Donna, allowing you to take that course as well if you want to revisit that. So check that out definitely. Let's see here. We have any chat. Sign up for the free workshops. Okay, good. Q&A. Anyone have any questions they want to ask? I'll ask Teresa, putting you on the spot as usual, Teresa, but I don't know if you had a chance yet. I'm about to post on it that additional priority that was listed. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that. I have a draft post going out there, but y'all, last week, the secretary announced an additional possible priority. It's out for comments. If y'all want to keep an eye out, I'm going to post a blog later, this afternoon about it. Teresa, I didn't know if you had a chance to look at it or.
Just a little bit, and you're talking about the artificial intelligence one.
Actually, I'm talking about the one that was announced regarding civic government curriculum. I just texted you about it, so you probably
Okay,
did.
okay.
If you want to, during this webinar, check it out. I
I will do
texted
that. Um,
Friday, and I know you were out. So, yeah, it's one, to me, again, just briefly paraphrasing it, it looks like we need to incorporate government, history of government, civics into our programming. I believe my take is on it is if you select or write to that priority, I think it's going to help. I think the peer reviewers might be told to look upon that proposal favorably if it mentions in your curriculum for Talent Search or EOC that you're offering that as a workshop, as a service. That's how I see it. And the way it seems to be initially written, Teresa, to me, out of all the priorities, it seems like the most, I guess, not easiest, but the thing logistically to fit into our programming than some of the other things. AI as well, I would like to do that. But some of the other stuff that we talked about, those priorities about, and those are the ones you are familiar with because they'd come out a while before. Thank you. Yeah, Donna put that press release out there. It's about the patriotic education. That's what they
yeah,
call
I
it.
missed that part of I read it, but I totally overlooked that part of it. I looked at that they had added the artificial intelligence. It was only three initially.
Mhm.
And then I read that, but I wasn't even thinking about it for today, with
Yeah,
regards to the
that's
civics, because it was a pretty easy, but it does, like you said, I mean, it's
it's
another
easy.
work for talent search. It's a workshop. I mean, literally, it's a workshop.
That's
Um,
that's why I like it. It's an easy fit because the artificial intelligence, yes, I bet we could do a workshop on that or a camp on that. Remind me, Teresa, what were the other two that I thought were a harder fit? Uh,
the returning education to the states.
yes, that one. I'm
And the expanding education choice, but it may be if they and so there's the element of, you have students that are homeschooled and that go to private schools or what have you. We don't really target those students. So I was thinking maybe they may want us to open it up to those students, perhaps, in
Mhm.
a more intentional way. That's what I was thinking about the choice one. Like that might be a slant that they may go into. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, it's all depending on what viewpoint, because they give you the titles, but then they put in their
Mhm.
specific slant, like you
Mhm.
said, what
Yeah.
they want you to write to. So I was nervous about those two. I felt pretty comfortable about the AI one. And then this one that came out, and thank you, Donna, for putting that in the webinar chat so you can see the press release. I was thinking, oh, not a problem. We'll just
Mhm.
incorporate it as part of our curriculum, and it's up for comment. So look for the blog post we're going to do later this afternoon, and you'll have a link so you can comment on it and get you more information about that. And Teresa, you as well, you probably will want to check that out and
Yeah.
see if there's something that we should comment on, or possibly I don't see an issue with it so much as implementing. But the issue could be the slant, so to speak,
Mhm.
that you're going to be looked more favorably. If I turn that in and you don't mention it, Teresa, I may get funded over you because I mentioned it. So
Mhm.
that's where it
Yeah.
does come show favoritism and preference. So
Correct. Yeah. I agree.
think about that. Yeah, and again, just to recap, there are some priorities that are being discussed right now. They're not finalized, correct, Teresa? They've yet to be. They're all out for comment or discussion.
Mhm.
Um, and then here we do have a question. Last week you mentioned that you lost a point because of your graduation data. Did you cohort or non-cohort data? Okay, so I lost a point in the objective section. I lost a lot of points in the objective section on some of the proposals, not all of them, but I'm learning from them. I lost a point because the reader said that I was using a cohort graduation rate for the baseline for
Mhm.
graduation, 12th grade graduation with regular diploma, which is our second objective, right? The first, yes, second objective. The third objective that we have in Talent Search is 12th grade graduation with a rigorous secondary school program of study completed. And I also lost points there because I had used the cohort graduation rate, meaning cohort means from the ninth graders to the 12th graders. And I had always done that for, gosh, how many years I've been writing Talent Search? Over 25 years, never lost a point. And so I was really like a gut punch when the reader said, nope, you did not give me the correct cohort. You gave me, the correct baseline. You gave me the cohort graduation rate as the baseline. And it should have been just about your 12th graders. Okay. And that had never happened before. And they were completely right. And then for the second the third objective about rigorous secondary school program of study, again, lost points, complete points there. So whatever that point was, I think I lost 4 points right there in the, they wouldn't even look at the percentage, Teresa, that I had set, because they were like, nope, I don't care what you set it at, because you did not give me the right rate. And I was mad for a second, but then I got mad at myself, and also said a little prayer of thanks, because all these years I had gotten all these new programs funded, Teresa, and we've always had to have perfect scores to get funded. Now, even a perfect score is not good enough. But all these years, they could have easily taken points off, and I wouldn't have, I should have learned from it sooner. But yes, so to answer your question now, go ahead, Teresa, and I'll tell you what I'm doing differently in the needs section.
And I'll add, I use the same thing. We didn't get points off, but again, you just never know how the readers may perceive it. But it's good to know that so that I can start making that adjustment as well. So
And
thank you
that's
for,
what
yeah.
and that's my biggest thing. I'm trying to let everybody know, you know what, you're going to lose points. Go back on your old current proposal. I mean, the proposal you're currently funded under, and look in the needs section and the objective section. Um, I didn't lose the points in the needs section, Teresa, because I answered it and they waited until the objectives, and that's when they got me. But it all starts in the needs section.
Mhm.
So let me tell you what I'm doing now. In the needs section, when it gets to that question about the graduation rate, I go ahead and give the reader the cohort graduation rate, but I don't say it's tied into objective B. I tell them this is the graduation rate overall, because the question is, what is the graduation rate? They don't go into detail about initially. It says of students that graduate within 4 years. It does say that. So I go ahead and give them the cohort rate. right? As I usually did, but I do not state there, please note this is the baseline for objective B and C. No. Then I give them another table, table whatever goes into detail about what the 12th grade graduation rate is with a regular diploma. So I give the reader actually three sets of graduation rates. The first one is the regular cohort graduation, which looks bad or makes it look the worst because it's from 9th to 12th grade. So it should be a lot lower than just 12th grade in the fall to 12th grade in the spring. But I start with that to get the reader the answer to the question the way it's posed, because it's almost a trick question in the need section. So I give them that. And then my second table in that question is giving the reader just the 12th grade graduation rate, which should be much higher because it's just 1 year, not even a year from fall to spring for the students that just get the regular diploma. Then I give them a third table that shows the graduation rate of 12th graders only, the same group of 12th graders from the second table, but now I'm letting them know how many graduated with a rigorous secondary school program of study. And I say, this is the baseline for objective C. The second table is the baseline for objective B. The first table, not a baseline, but just letting them know. So I give them 3 sets. And then when I go to the objective section now, I'm going to focus on just the 12th grade, the 12th grade graduation rate for regular and 12th grade graduation rate for rigorous. And that's the baseline. I may bring up, and why it's going to be ambitious, I may refer back to the cohort rate. This is going to be ambitious because look how bad it is from 9th to 12th graders. But it's not going to be my baseline anymore, because otherwise they're perfectly correct in taking my points away there because I did not give them the rate. Because your objective, think about it, when you guys do your APR for objective B and C, you're not looking at all the 9th to 12th graders. You're just looking at, oh, I had 100 12th graders. So out of the 100 12th graders, how many of them graduate with regular? Okay, and then you do the same thing. How many 12th graders? 100. How many with graduate with regular having completed rigorous? You're not going back to all the 9th graders. So they got me there.
And that number is so high.
That's the problem.
Number. Yeah.
It is so high, y'all, that we're going to have to do something extra with that second and third table in that need section about the graduation, Teresa. I know that I'm going to have to, and that's the 12th grade tables. I know I'm going to have to throw in, if I leave it alone, it'll be too high and I'm going to lose points and not show need. If I just leave it alone and not do anything, if I just give up and say it is what it is, it's all 99%, 98% compared to 100% for the state. Oh, we're below. That shows a need of 2 percentage points, but the reader's going to be, you're in the 90s. And then what am I going to set my objective on if it's already at 98%? So I got a problem there, right? If I left it alone, I'm going to lose full points on that table and possibly the second table, possibly for that whole answer. So I got to do something. And, or if I don't do anything, maybe I have enough prior experience points as insurance to cover up that loss. Yeah. Or if I don't want to go that route and I need to save my prior experience for someplace else in the proposal, because I hate turning in a proposal that I already know is, going in with a loss of points. So what I may do, Teresa, for those 2 tables is ask my clients to go back to the target school counselors and say, look, what if we put a twist on it, a different slant? What's the percentage of 12th graders that graduated with a regular diploma with a 2.5 or higher GPA? And the same thing for the rigorous, or even higher, a 3.0, which is just a B. Someone could say, well, they're not asking that specifically. They just wanted the 12th grade graduation rate. I said, I know that, but if I leave it alone, we're going to lose points. If I put the slant on it and I go ahead underneath the table and say the definition is 12th graders who graduated with a regular diploma having a 2.5 or higher GPA, I might survive and not lose any points and bring that baseline down. Or I still may lose the same number of points that I was going to lose anyway. You see what I'm saying? I had nothing to lose. What do you think, Teresa? I mean, that's my only thing that I'm going to add that slant.
Yeah, it's a catch-22 either way. I think of course, if your current graduation, the baseline is 95% or above, I mean, the best you could probably do is say that you're going to at least maintain it and talk about all the things that you just talked about with those data points to help. But either way, you may risk losing points, whichever way you go, you know? Yeah.
Right. If I don't do anything, for sure. If
Yeah.
I do something,
Yeah. You
maybe.
might. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's like in the game. Do we just say, okay, that's it? We have like not this week's game, but last week's Cowboys game with the Eagles, right? If we just said, what, how many seconds left? Okay, that's it. We'll take the loss, whatever it is. And then they stuck it out. Let's give it one more drive or one Hail Mary, whatever. This would be a Hail Mary because right now, when everyone out there in Talent Search land, when you run the data for the baseline, when you try to get the baseline for what your target schools are doing right now, for 12th grade only graduation rate with regular diploma and 12th grade only graduation rate with regular diploma having completed rigorous, when you leave it alone and just pull the data itself, they're going to be in the 90s,
Mhm.
high 90s. And that's a problem. So in order to show a need, we may have to add that added slant or that extra rigorous barrier, rigorous characteristics to bring it down. But you got to pull the data now so you don't make this decision at the last minute. You got to be okay with your decision, so to speak. Teresa, we have a question about the why some talent search programs got canceled. We're not going to give out any names of anything, but I
Mhm.
don't. I may have a couple of reasons why some other programs got canceled. I mean, it stems from when the first cancellations came out for Upward Bound. It's the same reason, but it could be across all the programs, if that makes any sense. So it wasn't specific like, oh, Talent Search did this that is getting them in trouble, or EOC did this. I'll share with you some examples across the board that weren't just specific to Talent Search, okay? But I don't know, Teresa, if you'd heard anything else or you have any examples to give. Um,
Um, no, I don't know any specifically for talent search, but what I'm gathering is that it basically has a lot to do with the trigger words and most of what I've heard, when you use the word diversity. So, for example, in the area where they discuss how will you inform your community about, about the talent search or upper bound program. And one of the strategies was to use the Office of Diversity, and they listed that particular department in their grant. And that's the reason that they were given as to why they were not funding. So most of the examples that I have seen revolve around the usage of the word diversity, even though there's, 15 other departments that you're working with, the working with that one department to support your project has become a trigger word. Well, it was a trigger word when we first got this concept of trigger words back in February. I would say if nothing else, they're now giving the grantees a reason, because I think initially a lot of the grants that were being canceled, they just said you're no longer in alignment with the priorities of the administration, which is very vague. Uh,
you're absolutely right. The first set that came out, no one knew, and they were going crazy trying to figure out. They just said you violated civil rights, whatever. What I've seen since, and with some of the SSS ones too, but starting with the I'm sorry, the second slate of upward bounds, the second slate. I mean, the upward bounds that were the reporting period is in September. Those and the talent search ones and the EOCs, I will piggyback on what you just said, Teresa, about the use of the word diversity, or saying that your office, a local upward bound program. It's because in their applicant and community support section, they said that their institution's diversity office would help to inform the college about the upward bound program. And that's why. That's why. Then another person, I can't remember if it was Talent Search or EOC, it was in their GEPA statement. The GEPA statement mentioned, and remember, y'all, the GEPA statement is separate from the narrative, the proposal. It's a form that you have to submit separate, but it's part of the application packet. And it's usually the same up until this competition that we're going to have. in the past for Talent Search, all these years, at least for the last 30 years, it was something that the college had across the board for any Department of Ed program. It used to be generic. It didn't say the Talent Search program. It talked about the the institution's stance on giving what does it stand for? General Education, what a Provision Act, to make sure that you had equal access, I believe, to services. So I doubt that the project director even saw that GEPA statement, and it was written by, usually at the time, was written by the college itself, and they had a lot of DEI and diversity focus there. So, isn't that really is kind of a gut punch when you didn't even put it in your proposal, but it was part of the GEPA statement. And we do have in the Google Drive, you'll see here, someone's asking, can we have a list of the trigger words? Right here, we have in the Google Drive for, for Lunch and Learn. You will see here we have the Department of Ed compliance review, the key terms, phrases, and activities to monitor. We also have an overview of all the executive orders here. And we also have from Gear Up, our friends in Gear Up, all the trigger words. So definitely, if you want to actually get something done that needs to get done and do it, right away and have something to show for it. How I told y'all, I've always been saying, look, take your 2021 proposal, for those of you that were funded, and take it apart and split it into the separate sections of the grant, right? Need, objective, plan of operation. Take it and deconstruct it. Definitely, even before I go and start putting data in, go through every single line and make sure, or do a search for, make sure you don't have the word, any of these words in there, definitely diversity, DEI, what's another, even underprivileged, disadvantaged. What I'm replacing it with, Teresa, and it's kind of almost, I don't know what the word is, but instead of going there and writing low income first generation, disadvantaged, I'm just putting talent search eligible.
Yeah.
EOC eligible. Okay, instead of low income first generation, instead of disadvantaged, instead of diverse, I'm just putting talent search eligible, EOC eligible, and actually makes it less wordy. So it's fitting. I think that's why I liked it, right? And who could argue with that? It's talent search eligible. Talent search we're seeking. There's a large population of talent search eligible youth in the area. The graduation rate for talent search eligible youth is this versus this. Okay. I don't know if you have any other recommendations as well, Teresa, for that.
No, because for the longest we've used, of course, in SSS, we always use SSS eligible. That's where I got that from. It's like, I write my SSS program. So, I mean, it makes sense.
You are totally right. That's where I got it from too. I didn't realize, but exactly. We are so used in SSS to compare our eligible compared to non-eligible. I don't know why it didn't transfer as easily. And we felt compelled to, because we'd seen and other people had told us. And frankly, in the past, I know with Gear Up, at least, Teresa, I lost a Gear Up proposal because it didn't have the words diverse in it.
Yeah.
And it didn't have DEI. And it said that the parent group wasn't diverse enough, that I didn't have enough agencies from my diverse communities. You see that's less than a year and a half ago where I lost points for not having that in there. So as a writer, I'm like, oh, I got to put him in. I got to put him in. Heck, thankfully, for some reason, I didn't follow that for talent search, thinking that was a Gear Up thing. And look what could have happened, if I had followed that same trend. And then less than a year and a half later, it's a complete 180 where now you don't want to put anything like that. So to answer that question as to why talent searches are getting canceled, it's the same across the board. Any TRIO program, if you have those words either in your narrative, someone else told me it was in their quality, maybe in their management plan and the plan of operation, where they said that their staff would receive diversity training or DEI training, thinking that was a good thing, right? Or in the quality of personnel funding, ironically enough, or whatever, ridiculous enough, Teresa, I thought that would be the only place where people would get in trouble in the quality of personnel. Some, but fewer, more people got cancellations because it was mentioned in other parts of the proposal, and also in the GEPA statement. So they're actually going back and they read those things. So
And this
very,
was 5 years ago. It's so long ago. We
I
wrote
know, and that's my big thing is, you know what? Okay, under new management, so to speak, gotcha. New ownership, new management. Okay, give me a chance to rewrite the proposal. Let me go through from 2021 and rewrite it and submit it so it doesn't have any of this language in it. Okay, give me a chance to do that. Then to outright cancellation. I believe, it's just my belief that the lawsuit will win, but it's going to take a while. And by then, are people going to still, is the college or agency still going to fund the program out of the goodness of their heart?
Right.
It won't happen overnight. So I do think TRIO programs those programs that got canceled, I do believe they will get reinstated, but when is the issue? And has it been so long that they've, floated away, or, it's not going to be something where it's going to be feasible to just pick up the pieces and start going from there, so to speak. All right, so that's the answer to that. So I would definitely, to finish my thought, was to go through every single section and take out anything that could possibly be a trigger word. And we have examples of those in the Google Drive. Another thing, you could do it through, take that section and put it through Chat GPT and ask them, upload, you right, Teresa? You could upload, this is our little secret, go to Chat GPT, you upload these documents here, the Gear Up one to review, and also the compliance and the executive orders, and tell your Chat GPT you're about to upload each one of your old sections one at a time, for it to tell you if there's anything potentially that could be an issue and why, and to give you recommendations on how to reword it. Okay, so that's what I would do definitely before you start working on, or as put the pause for the cause on the data collection, and do that first of all, because it's serious stuff. Okay, they ain't playing. They mean it when they will pull your ticket for any word. And they're probably doing the same thing too, Teresa, taking these documents, uploading it to Chat GPT and saying, find the word diversity or any of these things. And that's all she wrote. Literally, that's all she wrote. Okay. All right. So do that, y'all. Do that, and then clean up your, get your narrative. It's still old narratives, but then start updating them for data collection and for content once you clean them out of the trigger words, possibly. Okay. So please do that. You'll feel a whole lot better, and you'll be the first step to moving ahead. Today's my first day back from being furloughed for the past 2 weeks. What's the update on when the talent search proposal might come open? Hey, great to have you back. Teresa, I don't know if you want to mention, you want to go and speak to that, because I think I know the answer, but you want to go and take that one. When will it might become open?
I have no idea at this point.
Me too. That's why I wanted to give it to you.
I have no idea at this point. I don't even have any guesses.
Yep.
All
we know is that recommendation. It was a recommendation to have it out no later, the RFP or the program application, no later than December 1st. But that was just a recommendation. Everything's being pushed back, y'all. Pushed back. So I know you want to have a time. So I'm acting like I'm putting December 1st as my deadline to have all my drafts done. Okay. Drafts done, knowing that I have some time, but I have to play that mind game with myself, because if I tell myself, oh, it probably won't be till the spring, stuff's going to happen, I'm going to push it off. So I've had to, some clients, I said, look, I'm acting like I want to have my drafts done by December 1st. I got to put some urgency on going ahead and making sure I start updating the data. Otherwise, that can's going to be pushed down the road. And I do think when it comes out, I think it's going to have a very short, the shortest, which could be a 30-day turnaround.
Yeah.
Like
in July, there were a lot of grants that were released from the federal government that were due 30
last
days.
minute. Yeah, at the last minute. So yes, thank you for bringing that up, Teresa. There were a lot of other Department of Ed RFPs that were released with 30 days notice. And if you weren't already working on it, that's when I say people have been contacting me saying, well, once the RFP comes out, we're going to contact you. I said, oh no, you can try, but I will not that I'm turning my back on you. I will not be able to do that because I'll be focused on finalizing the proposal, not starting. So you need to be in full proposal mode now, okay? And if anything, clean up those narratives after you split them apart, the old ones, and then start updating them for content. I wanted to point out, you know what? Go into the folder that says Talent Search, and I believe we have the package right here, the 2021. Act as though that says it's for 2026 or 2025. That's the latest one we have. It's in the Google Drive. Starts working off of that. We also have put in lots of materials in there to get you started, resource listing, things like that, a timeline. So, please, please, please do not wait till that's out. You should, I hate to say this, but maybe I'm going to say you should have been working on it already and continue to work on it. Someone saying, I'm looking at the 25-26 GAN. Yes, thank God. And make sure it says a -25, right? I find that section number 5, general conditions for all grantees, was not in the 24-25 GAN, kind of ironic. Well, again, the 24-25 GAN, are you comparing it to your original 24-25 GAN or that one that we got for the no cost extension compared to this one? You might want to compare it to the original one for 24-25, the original. And can you remind me, because I don't have it in front of me, section 5, the general conditions, and you're with, are you talking about where it gives you substantial progress that you have to maintain? Because they might be reminding you as another, because it was always the case, if you're not at a certain percentage, I think I looked at an EOC, and the EOC one, they're not new. It's in the middle of their funding cycle, just like y'all. And it was like a reminder. It said, you know what, you need to remember that you're you need to be at 85% substantial, no, 75 in the first year, and then 85, I believe, a minimum of 85, because they could pull your ticket with no questions asked if you're not at a certain substantial progress every year. They haven't been doing that, but I think they're going to do it. So remind me if you get a chance, Sharon, about what is in, or I don't know, Teresa, if you know what covers section 5 or what specifically is missing from there, to do that. And let us know if what part you found, isn't it weird that it doesn't have this part in it? And I don't know, Teresa, if you have a GAN open so you can.
No, I've not worked with my clients on that since I've not been writing the grant, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so if you could let me know, Sharon, exactly what part, just to refresh my memory, because I don't have a GAN open right now and I haven't memorized them. We have another question here. When answering the criteria questions in the needs section, do we remove the trigger words there too, like when referring to low-income families? Good question. For right now, I would leave them in there. To low-income families, Teresa, I think I would leave them there and wait till we get into the technical review workshops, and that's one of the questions I would ask. And maybe they'll be, who knows, maybe when the final RFP comes out, they'll be scrubbed. But if your chat GPT is picking up on that, or you have a concern about that, for right now in the question itself, go ahead and highlight it and keep it there. And that's something that I'll have to get also some clarification on, because I don't want to change the question because it's the regulatory language, right? But I also want to make sure I distinguish that it's in the box and put from the RFP, if they don't change it. Teresa, I don't know if you have any suggestions.
What I've been doing is leaving it there, of course, for now. But what I have added is a citation of the the regulatory language. So I specifically put in parentheses where it comes from, so that at least I've defined it. The low income first, it comes from the regulations, and I cite the regulations that it comes from for that particular program.
I would agree. Yes, I would add a little layer to that if we get no notification whatsoever. But I do think we need to hound them about, when they go through that, if we don't automatically see it in the questions, which Teresa, how can they change that regulatory language without doing reauthorization? Because
Right,
those,
right. Yeah,
so the questions cannot change
right.
until they do reauthorization. So I think we're going to be stuck doing what you said, is to put in parentheses and maybe even put the page number and little, where this is coming from, to do
I
that.
define it in each section if I talk about low income first because I don't want them to forget from the first section. But after that, I do SSS. I mean not SSS. Talent
Talent
search
search
eligible.
eligible, EOC eligible. In your response, make sure you completely scrub it. That's a great question about how we can scrub something from the regulatory language, unless we make sure the reader is reminded, hey, this is in the regs. I can't change it. If I'm changing, I'm actually messing with it. You
Mhm.
know, I can get you on that. Well, that's not the question. So great question, Beverly. We'll have to keep monitoring that. And that's something, if I could have a program officer's ear or direct access during the technical review workshops that they have, I'd say, hey, the questions haven't changed, but they're full of trigger words. What do we do now? Excellent question. So we need to get that through. Which year should we compare our new GAN to? Which year should we compare it to? Well, I don't know for the purpose, but or for the previous question, I think and Sharon did clarify that in, I'm assuming, I don't want to speak for you, Sharon, but I'm assuming you're saying that when you first got your 24-25 GAN back in the day, that there was nothing in that box, or it wasn't specific language, but now it talks about not using federal funds that violates what is that, Title 5, or Title 6, or Title 6, yeah, or Title 7 of the Civil Rights, Title 9, Title 2 of American with Disabilities Act, Boy Scouts, of all that good stuff, all that stuff there. So now it's telling you now don't do it, but it didn't tell us that in the past. And so again, someone asked anonymously, so I didn't know, to compare it to, I don't know, but I know for the proposal, just to answer this question here, or maybe a variation of it, whatever you're getting for 25-26 Talent Search and EOC is what you should base your budget for the proposal, the first year of the budget on. I don't think we got any increases, right? It's the same amount as last year anyway. And I doubt we're going to have any increases, for the first year of the proposal. So I'm not sure if you want to clarify that question, but right now, the first thing you can knock out, besides going through your narrative and taking out the trigger words, making sure there aren't any there, the second step, if not the first step, is to do your budget for 26-27 using maybe the same budget you just are developing for 25-26, but it won't have any carryover. So that's a whole different story. It's going to look very, very different. Most of your proposal, most of your budget for your proposal should be in personnel and fringe. And you want to make sure that you have it set up so that it looks like to the reader that you have enough people, to the readers who aren't familiar very much with specifically Talent Search and EOC. It looks crazy how one person is supposed to have a caseload of 400 people, So, and if that's all you can do, then you got to spin it, put a slant on it, how we're able to do this. But initially, when I look at a budget, even knowing what I know about Talent Search and EOC, I look to see, okay, do they have a full-time director or is it split? If it's split, I'm looking to see if someone is a lead advisor or assistant director, because I could take a point off. I could, especially with so competitive, because they don't have a full-time director. I might take 2 points off because they didn't have anybody else designated as assistant director or coordinator or lead advisor. So there's nobody in charge if the director's not there. I can cite that, even though you may say we've got permission to do this. You can get permission to do something. Doesn't mean you're not going to lose points from the readers for having it set up. Now, I realize if that's the way you have to be set up to afford the program, leave it alone. I'm not telling anybody to change, to go back from part-time to being full-time. No. If you've been approved to be less than 100%, it was probably a financial reason to do that. And if you don't have enough money to promote somebody, fine. Just be okay with losing 1 or 2 points, but you should have prior experience to swallow up that something that you can't control. right? But if you can control it, if you can try to avoid that, or if you're going for, God forbid, new funding, you definitely won't get funded if you have somebody who's less than a full-time director from the get-go. Okay, so again, I'm not advocating that you switch. I'm just letting you know, don't be surprised this time if your perfectly funded scored proposal in the past that had a split director with no assistant coordinator or lead advisor in the past, this time maybe loses points, but you should have enough to offset that. And Teresa, I don't know if you have any guidance on that, but it's a tough call, right?
Yeah, I mean, you win some, you lose some. I mean, you really don't know which way to go. But definitely what Lisa has said, I think is, I mean, it's pretty much what I follow. If it's a new grant or if at all possible, trying to keep those full time instead of splitting out. But I mean, of course, you have to do what works best for your project as well.
We can't decide our salaries, the college does. We
Mhm.
can't decide our fringe, the college does that for us.
Mhm.
So some things are out of your hands completely. And if you have to be split, like, I'm sure Teresa, you were split at one time when you were still pulling your salary, and you could have lost points on every single one of those grants for not being full-time.
Mhm.
You could
Yeah.
have lost more if you didn't already have an assistant director or coordinator in
Mhm.
place. And sometimes we didn't lose any. It was a gamble. It was a gamble. But guess what? It's more likely now moving forward, as competitive it is with any excuse. And I have to tell you, I would be the first one telling my group of peer reviewers, by the way, if they don't have a full-time director, take off 1 point. If they don't have an assistant or coordinator, take off 2 points. That's it. That's what it's got to be, because we have so little money and so many people competing. But I would know, but you know what? Those existing programs that are already set up that way and have to continue to be set up that way, they'll be okay. They just have to be okay with not having a perfect proposal like they've had in the past, which I've had to deal with too, Teresa.
Mhm.
Struggled with always wanting to get perfect proposals. I'm okay now with not having a perfect proposal, because I realize there's some things I cannot control. And if I get a budget and I go back and forth with my client, and I'll be the one to realize, you know what, you're right. There's no way we don't have enough money to promote somebody to be lead advisor. It's not going to happen. I mean, we can make it work, but in reality, it's not going to work. So I don't want you to be hurting for money. So we're going to leave it alone. But I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get a perfect score. You're going to get a 98 at the worst. At best case scenario, they don't catch it. So, I love to have clients come back to tell me, Lisa, guess what? They didn't take a point off or 2 points off. I'm glad, because for you, I have two other people who say they did lose points. So it's all over the place as well. Okay. EOC, should we increase the salary lines in the 25-26 budget and the proposal budget to hedge against any additional delays in funding? Should we increase the salary lines? No. Right, Teresa? I don't, no, 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 no.
You wouldn't have any programmatic money if, I mean, it would eat up all your program budget. Um, I don't know if there's a way to prepare for that, but I don't know that it would look. I don't think the look would look good.
Yeah, I think, I guess like what I would think, if I understand the question correctly, um, that would be when you turn in possibly your real budget after you get funded. Okay. We're talking specifically about the budget that is for show and tell with the readers. Okay. You have a little bit more flexibility after you get funded to negotiate and you could redo your budget, because they will not accept, the Department of Ed will not accept the budget details that you put in your proposal. I mean, they may, but they won't. They force you to redo it, right, Teresa? They say go
Right.
ahead and get us a spreadsheet or whatever. Every year they make you do this. So again, when we talk specifically about the proposal and the budget, all I know is that you must maintain it at whatever your last funding was on your GAN. So whatever you're getting for 25-26, I'm almost positive. I got to double check myself when the new RFP comes out. But whatever amount they gave you and for the number of people you need to serve must remain the same in the proposal budget. Now, within the categories, you want to make sure, though, that in both Talent Search and EOC, if you know that your college is going to give everybody, or it's anticipated, a cost of living increase in the next year, you need to bump up your salaries. I definitely would do that. And that means your fringe is going to automatically go up because the formula for fringe should be based on the salary. So if the salary goes, and I'm just making this up, I know you're probably laughing at the salary right here, but just, it's just a made up salary. If I'm going from 60 and it's actually going to be 65 in the future, then in my budget, I'm going to put 65 and I'm going to max out on the salaries, which means that the fringe is going to go up. But, right here, it's saying 35%. Heck, I may, Teresa, bump it up to 40% on purpose. So I'd rather have too much money in personnel and salaries than barely scraping by. But again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this budget to fine tune it, make it perfect, because guess what? It's not going to be your real budget. It's a budget to get past the readers, and then you have an opportunity to do your real budget after you get funded. Teresa, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to add. Definitely, you will have the opportunity to make the edits that you need to make. Not that they'll be approved, but you do have an opportunity to make your
Right.
case and also, update your budget. If you didn't have the raises in and now the raises have occurred, now that the funding you've been funded, then you would make those adjustments once you get funded because they're going to they're going to have to approve your budget regardless when you first get funded.
At least you have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Back and forth. You don't want to put anything that may be out of the ordinary or trigger a question in a reader's mind because there's no communication. So if I have a question about your budget, that's most likely going to cost you a point. Whether, so you keep it basic, you keep it, enough detail, it's not finalized. Notice here in the EOC version of this budget that we already have a category that says agency or college, because we're anticipating that EOCs are going to have to, this time around, get the college or agency to commit to fund something.
Are you sharing your screen, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Do y'all see that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I see it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't worry about it. No, a good thing. No, it's right. You're right to question me because I'm notorious for doing that. The only reason I know is because I have my cell phone on, and I think I'm going to do this because now I can glance and say, I'm on it. But any other time, I would be totally showing something else. So on here, notice that I already have a category here, Teresa, because in conversation with my EOC clients and some of my Talent Search clients, their money for what they're projecting, what they got for 25, 26. And if we're going to say we're getting the same amount for 26, 27, but there's no carryover. So if you don't have any carryover, they barely have enough money to pay for their staff and their fringe and very little for the other categories. So this is where we're letting them know that their college is going to have to, or agency needs to be prepared to show where they're going to pay for some of this stuff. Because look, see, everything in yellow on the sample budget is where the project ran out of money. They ran out of money for an administrative assistant. So if they want one, the college or agency is going to have to do that. They ran out of money here for regional conferences and state conference. They barely have enough money for the national conference. And so, and they had the conference fees. But that was for using, look at this measly little salaries here that are not realistic. So once I bump that up, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't afford to do. That's why you want to do your budget. Can you afford this program? Right now, you could probably afford it because you have carryover. You don't notice it, but take away the carryover. And that's when it reveals a lot of things that, a lot of us have been living off of carryover. And we won't have it in the proposal budget. And so it's been maybe 4 years since we did a budget that didn't include any carryover. And now on paper, how do we make it look like we can put it together? We can't keep telling the reader, oh, I'm going to, don't worry, reader, we'll have carryover. No, you got to make sure that it looks like you have enough to support everyone that first year. Program officer pointed out attachment 11 and 2526 scan, which came out last week. Okay, so what's attachment 11? Y'all remember, we do have clients, but we don't actually see, or, unless they email them to me, we don't actually, get to see the documents themselves, or they tell us, well, we got our GAN, unless they have a question about it. So there's something in attachment 11. I don't know if you know what that is, Teresa, off the top of your head. I don't.
No.
Now, attachment 11, maybe that had something to do with the civil rights and, all that language or an additional document. Let us know, anyone who has looked at attachment 11. Let me go back here. And again, we do have a lot of EOC resources, y'all. Check those out. We also have the RFP. Start working off of that, a timeline, resource data list. We even put in for both Talent Search and EOC, which I've realized, Teresa, going through my narrative, that I was saying a lot of editorial statements like, due to the high number of low-income, due to the high number of Talent Search eligible, see, caught myself, students, there has been a struggle to prepare for college, whatever. And I was just saying that, and I was like, I need to get someone, even if it's the Talent Search or EOC staff, to say, according to the Talent Search director, because there's such a high number of Talent Search eligible students, it's caused a drain on the school resources. You see the difference there? I had a lot of sentences within my narrative that were thrown in there that were editorial, and I thought they weren't. But this time around, I'm like, I'm going to get somebody there, either somebody from the target school person to say, hey, is this correct if I say that this is correct? And let them know, well, I'm going to say that you said that, okay, if you're okay with that. Or even with our own staff, the director advisors, instead of just leaving it wide open like that with no attachment, kind of an editorial statement. I think it makes more impact, and also is the truth. I'm the writer. I should be reporting on what people are saying. I shouldn't be coming up with an assessment of even if it's off the data. I should. And it's also interesting to throw in a little quote, right, from somebody there that works it. They're putting here in the chat. Can you take a look at that, Teresa? What's in the chat?
Will do.
Talking about what's in attachment 11, and I'll take this last question here.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what they're going to do about carryover now? We had to cancel PD. We were traveling to, paying from 24-25 for flights and registration, full staff and all that good stuff, and limited purchases at the end of August, so we could pay for salaries and benefits and necessary invoices due in September 1st, though through the end of the month. Now I have twice as much carryover as would have worried. Twice as much carryover. Okay. Oh, I see. You were thinking that you had spent it. And now you had to use it, but it looks like you're going to get reimbursed, I think. I believe for expenses that were, since they changed the GAN dates back, I believe you are going to be able to charge that. But I get what you're saying, that you didn't take the trip, so it didn't happen. All right. You have forensics accounting. You have an accounting trail. That carryover started because of open positions, I'm pretty sure. You probably have already had to explain why you had so much carryover, right? Now you just add this to the list that you had to cancel to pay for this, to pay for that. And there's an explanation. I would not worry if you can explain where your money did not get spent because of these things. It's where it didn't get spent because no one did anything. Okay, that's the problem. You should be able to do that. You should be able to explain. You have valid reasons why you have carryover. Mm-hmm. There's only so much you can do. That money was supposed to be for positions that should have already worked or been working, and for trips that should have happened but were canceled to offset that. So it's really money you can never really catch up on. And I would worry more about spending money on stuff that would be questioned. So in this case, I'd rather not spend it if I don't need it. If you need it, spend it. Maybe hire, if you're allowed to, hire some extra student workers or tutors, temporary, or just let them know they're hourly, that it's just until funding runs out. Hire extra clerical assistants, hire extra activities assistants, hire interns to help you provide the services in the short term. You just can't you have to let them know that they won't be permanent employees, because if you're able to do this, because the money's going to run out. I would spend the money on personnel rather than supplies and trips. Okay, that could get questioned. I'd rather do it on supplies than trips for sure. And I definitely would spend it more on hiring temp staff to help me provide services. maybe to help you recruit student recruiters, college students to be student recruiters that are on a temporary or by some semester basis to eat some of that down. But you will never be able to catch up, and that's okay as long as you have valid reasons why you have that carryover. And you know, your institution just has to be okay with not getting 8% of the money that's not spent, because they only get 8% of what you spend. Okay. They don't get 8% off the top. If they take 8% off the top, they're going to have to pay it back. So don't worry so much, but worry about or try to spend it in a part-time personnel that can help you deliver services to students. Teresa, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or if you want to talk about the attachment 11.
So I'll go to the attachment 11 because we're almost at time. So the chat has Deborah actually answered the question. So the statement with regards to disclosing federal funding and public announcements. When I was working with federal programs, that was always an expectation. So this is not a new requirement. And so at some point, someone did go ahead and point out that they looked at the previous GAN and it was listed on previous GAN. So yes, that's correct. That it's always been the expectation that you disclose how much funding that the program is being fairly funded and actually disclose the amount of your award.
It's that public statement that you should have in a compliance assessment. We do ding folks if they don't have that on their website or the bottom of their student application to have that mentioned. Thank you, Lisa. She sent me attachment 11 to look at. And yes, somebody said point. Yes, you're absolutely right. Anthony, that has always been there, but now they're going to get you on it if you don't have it listed. And that's that simple statement that says the talent search program of X, Y, and Z is funded annually for this amount at 100% by the Department of Education, something like that. It could be in one sentence. And yes, someone said, don't forget to request for a work study student for assistance. On carryover, if you want to spend it down, get as many EOC, get folks, interns, college students to help you recruit. If all they do is go out there and recruit, and some of them can be trained, you can call them student service providers. Come up with something where you can effectively eat up that carryover, but it's actually helping you instead of trips that can be questioned. And they're pain in the butt to coordinate and organize, and half the people don't show up, and it's a pain. A lot of time and effort on those trips, and maybe last resort on additional supplies. If you need something, buy it with allowable, but don't go crazy trying to spend all your time as shopping where you could be hiring and training folks to help you recruit and serve existing clients or getting new clients and students funded. But yes, thank you, Anthony, for bringing that to our attention. Thanks, Lisa, for emailing it to me. But yes, definitely, I think that's a good point, is also to make sure you have that statement on anything that's going out to the public. Okay. We got 1 more minute left. Thank you all. I think we covered a lot of things. Look for our post later this afternoon about that new priority, additional priority, comment on that. Like I said, out of all the priorities, I actually felt that was more realistic for us to implement in our curriculum and programming for all the TRIO programs. I'm not sure about the other ones. And let's see, we'll meet next week, go through the trigger words documents and go through your proposal, split it up and start working on those and cleaning them up. Use Talent Search eligible, EOC eligible when in doubt. And for right now, thank you, Beverly, for that great question. You want to highlight anything that ChatGPT says in the questions themselves could be a trigger word, and make sure we revisit on that, and we'll try to get you some information about that. Please be a free member. I think a lot of members, or everyone here is already a free member of NEC. And anything comes up, any questions you have, please let us know. Send me an email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Okay. Thank you all so much. Have a great week. Thank you, Teresa, as always. And y'all take care. Thank you all.